So working here on the Cat again. Cat 287 track skid steer had a little issue on the last little project I had. I don't know what happened exactly, but ended up blowing a hole in the tank. So lumped all my diesel fuel out. Got to put a new tank in it. I also put new shocks on for the cab, and those are pretty easy. But the tank is the focus of this video, and it's a plastic tank. Sits up underneath the seat. There's a sending unit there. It's got 2 bolts on the bottom, a couple fuel lines, that kind of stuff. So basically these got to go on both sides. The foot pedals deal's got to go, or the mat, and then the tank gets popped out. Hopefully it can just pivot right out of there and go. They're pretty spendy, but the tank's about $600 I think, almost. So I think there's probably the number there. So but pretty straightforward. I think it's just got 2 holes here and here, and I think it just pivots and sits down in there. Here's your fuel lines, and probably a vent, I suppose, the fill, everything up top. So hopefully it's not too tough to do, but it's all plastic, and the hole's about right here. So I don't know if something got poked into it or if it just blew out from pressure or what. But we're going to start by popping these out, and I think the bolts go through the side frame here and holds these on. This one, there's not any much holding it on anymore already. So but that side's got both the bolts in. So let me get some tools out, and we'll show you some basic removal process. So I got most of the bolts out. They come in through the side, and they've got these little foam insulation between the 2 here, and then they got a little metal spacer that holds them tight. The foam's shot, so I just pulled it out. But got one right here that's stripped out. It's just plastic on the inside. It's encapsulated here, so I'm going to take and probably just cut the bolt off on the outside here, because the bolts are basically 2 here and 2 here. And they're just small bolts. They ain't nothing too crazy. So I'm gonna cut this one off. We'll get both them joysticks out of the way, and then we'll start working on the tank. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but probably not. Yeah, it's basically down in there where I could barely see it, but if you look right about there, there's that nut right there, and I think that's encapsulated, but hard to say for sure. I'm going to start loosening it up after I get the other lines off, but there's one on each side. Before we do that though, we got to get the fill tube off, sending unit, a couple fuel lines. Those are pretty straightforward. I'll get them off, and then I'm probably going to have to take the floor plate out. So we'll I'll get that all off, and then I'll bring you back and see. I'm hoping this just pivots out. I don't know, we'll see, but I'll bring you back when I get that ready. Okay, bolts are out on the side of these fuel tank. They're not encapsulated. I thought they were. They're not. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right where the hoses on this side come in, it's pretty easy to find that one. That is the bolt foot right there. It's just a bolt and a washer, and then the other side's got a nut and a washer. On the other side, it's a little harder to find, but it's right there about in the same spot, but it's behind the hoses. You can't hardly see it unless you really look about where that piece of steel is. So, but it's there. And that's about all it is really. There's a washer for the other side here. I just don't have it on there, but oh, there it is right there. Small one and a big one. So now that that's out of the way, it should be the only thing holding the tank in, other than there might be like there's a little deal on the bottom of the tank, almost like a centering spot. There's probably something there that makes it stick pretty good because it's not wanting to move just yet, but there ain't nothing holding it on, no way to bolt it on other than that. So the next goal, I'm gonna take a minute and clean some of the junk, or possibly just look around a little bit. But the next thing is gonna be the floor plate here. This moves. The only thing holding it on is the throttle pedal, or the throttle cable for the pedal, which is gonna be right here. So let me get this plate out and get that all apart and take a look and then see what's what. These pieces here are welded to the frame, so hopefully that's not going to be an issue. It might be, we'll see. So let me clean this up, get this plate out, and start tinkering with the tank, and then I'll show you however I get it out, I guess, or at least give it a rundown on it. So okay, so I got the plate off, and the cables, throttle cables are here, bolted on, and then I'm assuming this is the computer for the machine. So you got 3 bolts here and some isolators and your plug in. So it looks like there's an Allen key holding that on. I'm probably going to unhook that and then I think I can get this plate to go up top here out of the way, just to get it out of my way. We get that done. I'm looking down here and I realize I think there's 2 small bolts right here and a little bracket that holds the tank in place. So I must have missed that. That's probably what that little deal was for that I was looking at. So yeah, there's 2 more here you got to take out. So I'm going to get that unhooked, the computer, and I'll get this off, and then I'll bring you back. We'll show you what happens here with that. Let's see if we can get this off without breaking it. So here we go. Well, that's kind of nice. We're back. It's the next day. I've done some research. The book doesn't show much on this fuel tank. Some torque specs for bolts and things like that, you know, important information, but not as far as like removal and installation. I can't find much to tell me what needs to be done, but just common sense tells me that I've either got to take the pump off to get the clearance to slide the tank back, or I've got to cut these deals here, or I've got to take the frame and split it. Well, I'm not splitting the frame. That's way too much work right now. I really don't want to take the pump off and mess with something, which means I probably got to notch these out just a little bit on both sides, and then you can clear the tank and then fabricate some kind of bracket or something to, you know, either put it back in, weld it in, or whatever, make it work. But I kind of need this machine. It's almost harvest season and I'm gonna get busy here pretty quick, so we're just gonna use the old 5-gallon gas can on the back for the rest of this fall, and then this winter, in a few months, we'll come back and revisit this again, because I really don't want to just throw it in quick and go, because there's so much dirt around the sides and it's just filthy under there. I want to clean it out and do it right, you know. So if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. So this will probably be the end of part 1, and then this winter I'll get back in here and we'll do the second half to do it right. So hopefully that helps just give an idea of what you need to start with. But like I said, we'll come back with the next one. So anyways, thanks for watching.